Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. So, this week there has been rumor, I repeat, rumor, that Russia paid Taliban soldiers to kill American soldiers. First of all, even the Pentagon says that there is no evidence to that effect. And second, the Taliban has held their side of any agreements made with the U.S. for our military withdrawal and a peace process. And third, we are supposed to be withdrawing from there in the first place. That is, we're supposed to be withdrawing again. We've been through these motions many times in the 19 years that our forces have been in Afghanistan. 19 years. This is the first armed conflict in U.S. history which has kept going long enough for 2 generations of Americans to fight in the same armed conflict. The U.S. military mission in Afghanistan has been a complete failure. Once again, various reports claim U.S. soldiers kill more civilians in Afghanistan than Taliban soldiers do. The Taliban now controls more of the country than they did in 2001 when we first invaded that country. As far as anyone paying anyone, look back at the U.S. role in Afghanistan in the 1980s, when the U.S. trained, armed, and funded the Mujahideen to kill Soviet troops in Afghanistan, including Osama bin Laden. Keep in mind, the Soviets would not have been in Afghanistan to begin with if it were not for conditions orchestrated by the U.S., which brought them there. The U.S. has also trained, armed, and funded Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and both of them in Syria and Iraq. The U.S. has armed, funded, trained, and assisted various groups to overthrow governments throughout South America for decades. Do you remember Kosovo? How about the support lately given to opposition in Venezuela? How about arming the Ukraine? You think that's not paying Ukrainians to kill Russians? How about funding and arming Israel and Saudi Arabia while they conduct genocide against Palestinian and Yemeni civilians? Huh? We pay for that. We got nothing to say about anyone, especially with rumors. It is absolutely known that the U.S. pays for all of this. Some of our funding, arming, training, and direct military, political, and economic interventions have been completely out in the open, killing millions of civilians globally. In some cases, we have armed and funded both sides of conflicts in which U.S. soldiers were being killed with weapons supplied by the U.S. government and U.S. corporations. In other cases, our participation has been covert, but no less deadly to civilians or U.S. troops. Right now, our military presence in Afghanistan is not wanted by the people there. It never was wanted by the people there. Our military presence in Iraq is ongoing after the Iraqi government told us to leave, after there were massive protests of tens of thousands of Iraqis in the streets saying they wanted us to leave. That makes our presence an illegal military occupation. Our presence in Syria is blatantly against international law and has been from the very beginning. Again, an illegal military occupation. There's absolutely no point in even discussing unproven rumors that another country is paying soldiers of a separate country to kill U.S. troops in a country where our presence is unwelcome by the country where the fighting is happening. There's no point in discussing this. Our troops would not be dying in these foreign lands if they were not in those foreign lands for the purpose of supporting corporate profits and neoconservative, neoliberal power structures paid for by U.S. citizens while our own citizens sicken and die from lack of food, shelter, and medical care. The number of military members who have been injured, maimed, and killed in those countries is dwarfed by the number of civilians in the same time frame who have suffered and often died by tens of thousands a year because our government claims we can afford bullets and bombs, but not life-saving social support systems for our own people. How many children will go to bed hungry in the U.S. tonight? How many diabetics will go without insulin tomorrow? How many heart attacks will occur next week because people cannot afford their blood pressure medication? How many children will be raped because of inadequate funding for sexual assault programs? How many women and men will suffer at the hands of abusers because we invest so little in programs dealing with domestic violence? How many people will die of overdose because we do not have adequate addiction treatment programs that is available to the general public? To the wealthy, yeah, there's plenty of programs. How many Americans will be shot down in cold blood because our government worships violence, force, and prejudice? How much further could this list continue? It is far, far, far beyond time that our military vacate other countries where we have no business being. It is far, far, far beyond time that we stop paying hundreds of billions of dollars a year to maintain a failing empire's mercenary force. This is a country where the elite dictate the rules. The central bank creates new currency nonstop to make the rich richer, where our elected officials worship at the feet of corporate donors with no shame, no remorse, no sorrow, and no ethics. It is time for us to turn this around. It is time for us to shout out our voices and say no more. No more wars, no more massive military budgets, no more militarization of the police, no more laws protecting police. This is all part of the same system. And only we can change this system. And the only way we're going to do that is by raising our voices continuously, loudly. Make it clear you do not support this. We do not need to be in Afghanistan. We didn't need to be in Afghanistan 10 years ago or 15 years ago. It's highly questionable whether we needed to be in Afghanistan 19 years ago. So, it's time for change. It's time to stop bombing all these countries. Time to get our troops out of 50 out of 54 African nations. Stop funding and supporting dictatorial fascists that are bent on genocide. That includes in this country. All right, that is going to be it for this video. Share this video. Talk about these subjects. Write to your elected officials. Call your elected officials. On this Independence Day weekend, consider how independent we are. Because we're not independent. And being a mercenary nation doesn't make us more independent. All right? Okay, if you can afford it, please donate $1 a month to help me expand the channel and keep this going as far as possible. All right, so I hope you have a good day and a good 4th of July, and I will talk to you later.